All right, so let's take it back to the very beginning when I was, making this decision that things needed to change. And, there was a lot of things that kind of were in my mind at the time that were making that change, seeming more daunting and whatnot. Mostly things like being afraid to give up some of the foods and stuff that I found a lot of joy and comfort in. Not really realizing that, a lot of those foods were kind of contributing to my lack of energy and shitty health. So one of the main switches was trying to start eating a better breakfast. And a good friend of mine had recommended that I start off with some oatmeal, a little bit of peanut butter, and he's like, that'll be a great breakfast, good start to just kind of, actually start eating in the morning, because a lot of my problem was I wouldn't eat until later in the day, and then I would just eat like crazy and just a bunch of shit. And then even like into the night and overnight. So trying to start eating breakfast was definitely like my first step in where I wanted to go with things. And it was very challenging, in all honesty. The first day that I sat down to a bowl of oatmeal with a little bit of peanut butter in it, I could not get it down. Like, first spoonful was straight up like cardboard, and I just couldn't do it. This being the first meal that I'm trying to have, with my health, or for my health, is not going as planned. So it was very discouraging. It, in all honesty, had me in tears, because I couldn't handle the fact that it was like, this is the first step in me trying to do better for myself, and here I am, like, not even able to do it. It was just, it's like, how hard is it going to be for me to eat better if, like, the very first thing I'm trying is just like so unpalatable that, I'm like, oh man, I'm up for, some crazy misery down the road here. So it was very discouraging at first, I will admit. But I then, changed it up a little bit, found some things that, I actually did enjoy and I did appreciate. And it definitely made things a lot easier from that point on. But one thing that I did find, because I ended up correlating the fact that I wasn't necessarily eating from hunger all of the time. And I think that's probably, that for quite a few people. Because I would notice myself finishing a meal, and then right after the meal, I'm like, what can I grab for a snack? Or, I feel hungry in my stomach, or I feel full in my stomach, but like my mind's kind of like, well, what else do you want? Like, keep going. And that's what really led me to believe that a lot of my hunger was dopamine driven. And in order to combat that, knowing that the evenings were kind of my my harder time to not get snacky, I would basically have fruit in the evening. So then that way, I'm at least getting that nice little dopamine spike from the sugars from the fruit, but it's at least a nicer route than, a bag of candy or something like that. So I started, doing that in the evenings. I would have a bowl of fruit and whatnot, and that would kind of subside those cravings for a bunch of junk. But then I started, alongside with the nutrition, I was starting to focus on the exercise piece of things. In all honesty, it's really long and twisted for me to try to get into absolutely everything that I have over the past year in one video. So I'm going to kind of break it up and explain things in multiple segments so that it doesn't get too insanely confusing. because in all honesty, that's kind of why I'm wanting to do this, is the fact that the first like 4 or 5 months of me doing this was literally me running around like a chicken with my head cut off, like trying this, trying that, figuring this out, figuring that out. This worked for me, this doesn't work for me. And ultimately, I found out kind of, what was going to be the ideals to be able to make this as easily for me to succeed as possible, because that's kind of the goal here, is to set yourself up for the best success possible, right? Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to have those things that make things easier or harder for themselves. Everybody's different. But the thing is, there are going to be these but biological or like chemical things that are going to be similar and whatnot, that you've got to find these mechanisms and understand how to use them to your benefit, right? So whether it be something like, knowing that a certain food triggers something in your brain that, you're going to go and start overeating. So, you just simply cut that food out of your diet because, as soon as you consume it, the way that it's going to make you feel. So you just opt not to, because then you're avoiding that situation entirely, making it easier for yourself. So the main goal for me in these videos are just to give you guys a little bit of insight into all of the different things that I've tried over the past while here, and see what works, and if there's something that maybe you guys will find relatable and it'll help you, that would be great. But I'm also gonna be dropping my email in the comments. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that you want to talk to me about, feel free to send me an email and I will get back to you. All right, thanks guys, and have a great one.